Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Yogi Fariza Alfianto with the student ID number 43121010286. Alright, so in this opportunity, I will explain about VAT or value added tax, which is a levy imposed on the sale and purchase of goods and services carried out by personal taxpayer or corporate taxpayers who have become taxable entrepreneurs. In circulation, this tax is carried out between producer to consumers. VAT is also included in the category of indirect taxes. So, it is the producer who has the obligation to collect, deposit, and report the VAT. Meanwhile, the final consumer is obliged to pay the VAT. The tax object or person subject to VAT is regulated in Article 4 of Law Number 8 of 1984 concerning VAT and its amendments, namely Law 42 of 2009, which came into force on January 1st, 2010. In Article 4 of Law Number 8 of 1984 concerning VAT, it is stated this levy is imposed on: first is delivery of the taxable goods within the customs area by the entrepreneur. Second is import of taxable goods. The third is delivery of taxable services within the customs area carried out by the entrepreneurs. The fourth is utilization of intangible taxable goods from outside the customs area within the custom area. And the next is utilization of taxable services from outside the custom area within the customs area. The next is the export of tangible taxable goods by the taxable entrepreneur. Next is export of intangible taxable goods by taxable entrepreneur. And the last is export of taxable services by taxable entrepreneurs. But today, we will mainly talk about the taxable goods and non-taxable goods. So, one of the objects of VAT is the delivery of taxable goods within the customs area by an entrepreneur. Submission of taxable goods is every activity of submitting taxable goods, including the transfer of right to taxable goods to an agreement. The agreement includes buying and selling, exchanging, installments, or other agreements that result in the transfer of rights to the goods. The next is transfer of taxable goods due to a lease purchase agreement and or leasing agreement with option rights. Next is submission of taxable goods to intermediary traders or through auctioneers. What is meant by an intermediary trader is an individual or entity who in his business activities or work under his own name enters into an agreement or engagement on and for the dependence of another person by receiving certain wages or remuneration, for example, commissioners, while the auctioneer is a government auctioneer or appointed by the government. Next is the own use and or free gift of taxable goods. Self-use is the use for the benefit of the entrepreneur himself, management, or employees, either self-produced or non-self-produced good. Meanwhile, Free gifts are gifts that are given without payment for either self-produced or non-self-produced goods, such as giving samples of goods for promotion to relatives or buyers. Next is taxable good is in the form of inventories and or assets which according to their original purpose are not for sale, which are still remaining at the time of the dissolution of the company. This is because the condition is equated with self-use. The next is submission of taxable goods from the center to branches or vice versa, and the delivery of taxable goods between branches. And the last is submission of taxable goods by a taxable entrepreneur in the context of financing agreement made based on Sharia principle, the delivery of which is considered direct from the taxable entrepreneurs to the party requiring taxable goods. Right, move to the next is about strategic taxable goods. So, the government regulation number 31 of 2007 concerning the import and or delivery of certain strategic taxable goods that are exempt from the imposition of value-added tax, among others, capital goods in the form of machinery and factory equipment, both installed and decomposed, do not include the spare parts. Forage for livestock, poultry and fish, and raw materials for the manufacture of fodder for livestock, poultry and fish. Next is agricultural plantation, fishery, animal husbandry and forestry. Products that are picked, taken or taped directly from the source, including the results of their processing by farmers or groups of farmers. Seeds or next is seeds from agricultural plantation, forestry, animal husbandry, captive or fishery goods. Next one is silver raw materials are in the form of granules and or in the form of bars. Next is raw materials for the manufacture of banknotes and rupiah coins. And next is the clean water that flows through pipes by the drinking water company. And the last is electricity, except for housing with a power of not more than 6,600 watts. Move to the next is taxable goods classified as luxury. According to the government regulation number 12 of 2006 concerning the 7th amendment to Government Regulation number 145 of 2000 concerning the group of taxable goods classified as luxury, which is subject to sales tax on luxury goods, or in Indonesia we call it PPNBM. The first is motorized vehicles that are subject to the tax at a rate of 10%. A motorized vehicle carrying 10 to 15 people, including the driver, with an ignition or compression ignition combustion engine with all cylinder contents capacity. And then motorized vehicles carrying less than 10 people, including drivers other than sedans or station wagons, with spark ignition or compression ignition engines with one drive axle, or 4x2 system with a cylinder capacity of up to 1500 cc. The second is motorized vehicles subject to the tax at a rate of 20%. So the motorized vehicle carrying less than 10 people, including driver, other than sedans or station wagons, with spark ignition or compression ignition engines with a single drive axle system, then with a cylinder capacity of more than 1500 cc up to 2500 cc, and then a motor vehicle with a double cabin in the form of an open bed or closed body vehicle with more than 3 passengers including driver, with a spark ignition or compression ignition machine with a single axle drive system, or with a double axle drive system with all cylinder capacity, and then with a total mass of not more than 5 tons. Right, the third is motorized vehicle subjects to the tax at a rate of 30%. Are motorized vehicle carrying less than 10 people including driver, in the form of a sedan or station wagon motorized vehicle with an ignition or compression engine with a cylinder capacity of up to 1500 cc, and then a motor vehicle other than a sedan or station wagon with a double axle drive system and with a cylinder capacity of up to 1500 cc. The fourth is motorized vehicles that are subject to the tax at a rate of 40%. Are motorized vehicle carrying less than 10 people, including driver, in the form of a motor vehicle other than sedan with a spark ignition engine with a single drive axle, and then with a cylinder capacity of more than 2500 cc up to 3000 cc. And then a motor vehicle with a spark ignition engine in the form of sedan with a double axle drive system and a cylinder capacity of more than 1500 cc to 3000 cc. And then a motor vehicle with a compression ignition engine in the form of sedan with a double axle drive system with a cylinder capacity of more than 1500 cc to 2500 cc. Move to the next is the fifth, which is motorized vehicles that are subject to the tax at a rate of 50%. Are all types of special vehicles made for golf. And the sixth is motorized vehicles subject to the tax at a rate of 60%. Are the two-wheeled motorized vehicle with a cylinder capacity of more than 250 cc to 500 cc, and the special vehicles made for travel on snow, on the beach, on mountains, and similar vehicles. And the last one is motorized vehicles subject to the tax at a rate of 75%, which are a motorized vehicle carrying less than 10 people, including the driver, with a spark ignition engine in the form of sedan or station wagon with a single axle drive system, or with a double axle drive system with a cylinder capacity of more than 3000 cc, and then a motorized vehicle carrying less than 10 people in the form of sedan with a single axle system or two axle drive system with a cylinder capacity of more than 2500 cc, and then two-wheeled motorized vehicle with a cylinder capacity of more than 500 cc, and trailers, semi-trailers of the caravan type for housing or camping. Alright, so move on to the next one. What is not included in the definition of submission of taxable goods are submission of taxable goods to a broker as referred to in the commercial code. Brokers here are brokers as referred to the commercial code, namely intermediary traders appointed by the president or unauthorized official. They run the company by doing work for a certain wage or provision on behalf of other people with whom they have no working relationship. And then the submission of taxable goods to guarantee debt and delivery of taxable goods from the center through branches or between branches in the event that the taxable entrepreneurs concentrates where the tax is payable. And the fourth is the transfer of taxable goods in the context of merger, consolidation, expansion, division, and takeover of business, as well as the transfer of taxable goods for the purpose of paying for capital in lieu of shares, provided that the party making the transfer and the party receiving the transfer are taxable entrepreneurs. In this case, if the transfer of taxable goods is carried out by the taxable entrepreneurs to other taxable entrepreneurs, there is no VAT payable because it does not include the definition of taxable goods submission. If the transfer is carried out by entrepreneurs who have not confirmed as taxable entrepreneur, it means that they are included in the definition of submission of taxable goods, so that VAT is payable but is not collected by the entrepreneur because it has not been confirmed as taxable person. Or if the transfer is carried out by taxable entrepreneurs to entrepreneurs who have not been confirmed as taxable entrepreneurs, then they are included in the definition of submission of taxable goods, so that VAT is payable which must be collected by taxable entrepreneurs. And the last is taxable good in the form of assets, which according to their original purpose are not for sale, which are still remaining at the time of the dissolution of the company, and whose input tax cannot be credited because they do not have a direct relationship with business activities, or motorized vehicle in the form of sedans and station wagons unless they are merchandise or rented out. Right, move to the next is the tax objects. Tax objects that are subject to tax in accordance with the taxation law can be in the form of tangible and intangible goods. The example of tangible taxable goods are houses, vehicles, properties, medical devices, etc. And for the intangible taxable goods, it can be in the form of rights or credits for works or brand. For example, copyright, patents, trademarks, and so on. In fact, all goods and services are subject to VAT. However, the number of the goods and services is very large, so the government limits the type of non-taxable goods, as in the Article 4A of Law Number 8 of 1983 concerning value-added tax on goods and services and sales tax on luxury goods. So, referring to Law Number 42 of 2009, the following types of goods are not the subject to VAT. The first is mining or drilling products obtained directly from the source. For example, crude oil, natural gas, geothermal, sand and gravel, coal, iron ore, copper ore, gold ore, silver ore, and etc. The second is the basic goods consumed by the people as staple foods, such as rice, iodized salt or not, grain, corn, soybean, sagu, and etc. And the third is food and drinks that served in hotels, restaurants, food stalls, and etc. Basically, food and drinks that are consumed directly on the spot, including food and drinks that made by catering businesses or catering services. The last is money, gold bullion, and the securities or certificates. This is because the nominal and its physical values are different from each other, especially when compared to its intrinsic value. Gold jewelry is still subject to VAT. Alright, so now let's take an example. I have a house with a selling price of 2 billion rupiahs, and someone wants to buy my house. So, based on Government Regulation Number 34 of 2016 concerning new final income tax rates on the transfer of land or building rights, the amount of income tax imposed for the sale of the house is 2.5%. Then, the income tax to be paid is around 50 million rupiahs. Payment of income tax payable must be made before the sale and purchase deed is issued, in accordance with the house price agreement between the seller and the buyer. Alright, so that's all from me. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.